Welcome to Devlog 0. My name is V. Azrin, and this is Celestara. This is the first video I've put out publicly about this project, and honestly, it's been a long time coming. Today I'm going to walk you through everything, where this came from, what it actually is, what a year of building looks like, and where it's going from here. So let's get into it. Celestara is what I would consider a MOBA, a multiplayer online battle arena, which takes place in the world of Celestara. The world is built across 9 different realms, each with their own identity, culture, and conflicts. The magic system is called souls, concept-based powers that champions wield based on their specific soul type. There are 7 tiers of revelations, and every champion's abilities, personality, and lore is built entirely around their soul. For example, one of the champions you'll be able to play is Veramil, who wields the reality soul. He's a reality manipulator. Everything he does bends and distorts the world around him. And then there's Jimena, a support/mage champion who utilizes her gum soul to support her allies and kill her enemies. Okay, so let me show you what a year of building this actually looked like. For Celestara, I decided to use the gameplay ability system that Unreal Engine offers. Once I got that integrated, I started working on the click-to-move system, which was not pretty. I scrapped it probably 4 different times, went back and forth between click-to-move and traditional WASD, and eventually just decided to implement both once I actually understood what I was doing. After that, I got the attribute system in: health, attack damage, ability damage, armor, all the stats you'd expect from a MOBA. Then came the attack system, which I think even right now it's still not perfect. There are still some bugs that make it feel a little wonky, but for the most part it's working, and I'm kind of proud of that. I also built out the shop system, called the Vault of Eternum, where you spend essence, which is pretty much your gold. You can buy items, filter by category, and each item upgrades your attributes. One thing to note, you can't have 2 copies of the same item. No sellback system yet either, that's still on the list. Once I had the shop in, I started blocking out the full UI. The ability bar with working cooldown timers, a soul progress bar, kill count for each team, a mini-map, and an attribute display so you can actually see your stats in real time. I also added the soul altar system, which provides passive souls over time. That's why you see the progress bar slowly advancing even when nobody's dying. And then there's the merchant, who's just the guy that walks around the map and provides a discount at his shop and exclusive items. Alright, so let me actually explain what Celestara is as a game, because the win condition alone sets it apart from the traditional MOBA genre. It's a 5 versus 5 or 6 versus 6. I'm still deciding on the exact number. 2 teams, but you're not trying to destroy a base necessarily. There are 2 altars on the map. Both teams can contest either one. Holding an altar gives your team passive souls over time. Souls are the main resource you need to win the game. Kills also add to your soul count, as do jungle camps. There will also be rifts, higher tier objectives that spawn around the map, providing more soul, more essence, and can be contested by either team. And then later stage objectives, think dragons and baron from League, the kind of things that get heavily contested. The goal is to reach full soul capacity, let's say 100,000 souls. Once you hit that, you bring it to the core at the center of the map. You refine it there, which takes time, so you're exposed and vulnerable. You need at least 1 player inside the core for it to keep refining. If the enemy team wipes you out, the refining stops, but it doesn't reset. Whenever you come back, you pick up right where you left off. Once the core is refined, you take it to your keeper, located in what you'd consider the inhibitor area of the map. You awaken the keeper, and the final push is to escort it to the enemy base. That ends the game. Now, the enemy team can contest this. You need at least 1 player escorting the keeper for it to advance. If the enemy manages to wipe your team out, the keeper stops. It won't go back to the start, it stays where it is until your team respawns and picks back up. So there's always a chance to make a comeback, even at the very end. Now for the champions. This part will be a nightmare for me to balance. But each champion in Celestara has a total of 12 abilities, 1 passive, 2 ultimates, and 9 standard abilities. That's significantly deeper than most MOBAs, and it's intentional. I want every champion to feel like a complete character, not just a 4-button kit. Now, about those 2 ultimates. One of them is locked until you reach what I call the 7th revelation, or level 7. Once you hit that, your second ultimate unlocks. And this one is a one-time use ability per match. These are what I call divine revelations. Each divine revelation is giga overpowered. That's intentional. They're designed to potentially flip a winning or losing fight entirely. So when you use your divine revelation, and whether the enemy uses theirs first, becomes a massive strategic decision throughout the whole game. There's also an interesting layer here. Some divine revelations will counter other divine revelations, so you don't want to hold off too long and let the enemy pop theirs first. Timing is everything. One of the champions I'm currently working on is Anita, the Soul Reaper. She carries a massive scythe as her main weapon. She's a melee sustained fighter whose entire identity is about severing the connection between body and soul, striking at the essence of life itself. She's very hard to kill, and she permanently scars her victims, weakening them throughout the fight. And her divine revelation gives off this passive aura, permanently destroying 3% of nearby enemies' max HP per second. The destruction never resets, not even when they die. So she can permanently chip away at enemy max health for the rest of the match. It ends with a final burst of true damage scaling off everything she destroyed. The strategic question is whether you pop it early for maximum long-term value, or save it for a critical team fight. Both are valid, both are scary. A lot of these specifics are still being designed and will change once I actually start testing. But the soul identity of each champion, that never moves. That's the foundation. Now, in terms of the actual combat system, I'm still deciding between 3 different approaches, and I genuinely want your input on this. The first is the League of Legends approach. Skill shots, manual aim, high mechanical ceiling. Rewarding for skilled players, but potentially rough for people who just want to enjoy the game without that learning curve. And we know the learning curve is already one of the biggest barriers to getting into MOBAs in general. The second takes inspiration from RuneScape 3, ability cycling, auto-aim. You press your abilities and they hit automatically. It's more about strategy and decision making, knowing when to use what ability and in what order. Less about mechanical execution, more about game sense. The third would be a hybrid. Some abilities on a champion's kit are skill shots, others auto-aim. Right now I'm only building out the League approach, but the plan is to prototype all 3 and see which one actually feels right for Celestara. Drop a comment, I'm genuinely reading them. Now for the map. This will probably be the last major thing I cover today. The map will be big. Bigger than League of Legends, probably around 1.5 to 2.5 times the size. To compensate for that, there will be things like wind paths that boost your movement speed as you travel. The immediate priorities going forward are getting the actual map blockout done, moving from the flat gray plane you're seeing on screen to a structured layout with lanes, jungle zones, altar positions, and the core at the center. Getting more champion abilities designed and coded into the game, even without any actual assets yet, and continuing to build out the ability framework so I can start testing what real combat actually feels like. Long term, this is meant to be a full game, not a prototype, not a jam project. A real MOBA with deep lore, an extremely competitive ranked system. I have ideas for actual prize pools on the ladder, and a world worth getting lost in. I'm a solo developer. I'm also finishing up my degree at the same time. The money I'm putting into this is coming out of my own pocket. I plan on eventually hiring artists for splash art, concepts, skins, all of it. But that's expensive, and it's not happening anytime soon. For now, I plan on doing the 3D modeling, VFX, animations, texturing, and environment work myself. A lot of work to be done, but I'm not stopping, not anytime soon. So yeah, that's Devlog 0. Subscribe if you want to follow the build, drop a comment with your thoughts on the combat system. I'll see you in the next one.